All right, guys, I'm going to explain this as hopefully as simply as we can. This would be a cover two look where we have like three guys down below, and then we have two relatively deep guys played back. Okay, and then we can either have this middle guy be a delayed rusher, or they can just be a rusher, or they can blitz. We could kind of game plan that. The idea here with these arrows is that if we say call this guy a corner and this guy a safety, they're both reading the number two receiver. So we always count from the outside in. So number one, number two, number one, number two, and they're both reading this guy to see what he does. The reason why we're both reading the same person is because we want to get the same information. Okay, so for example, let's just say this guy runs like an out-breaking route. Corner knows, short defender knows he has to pick this guy up, and then basically whatever this guy does, he's probably not going to run in the same spot. So he might run post, or he might run deep, or he might run a dig. The safety knows that he has to pick up this guy because he is the inside guy is clearing out of his area, right? So we just know that then the safety has to get his eyes to number one, right? It's the same thing on this side. They're both collecting the same information. So then it kind of begs the question though, like, all right, what if he doesn't do that? What if this guy just runs deep, right? Or if he just runs a post? Well, then we obviously know that the safety is just going to cover him. And then in pretty much every scenario, we'll have this corner, this corner lock on this guy. So that includes if this guy runs deep and this guy runs deep, then the corner actually has to lock here. And so this is kind of how we're sort of cheating the coverage here. Okay, so this corner doesn't necessarily have to stay short, right? It's the same thing on this side as well, right? So if this guy runs deep, the corner on this side knows that he has to run with this guy. Okay, oops. So whatever he's doing, he has to run with him. If he's running, if this guy is running a slant, the corner's just gonna basically run with him and lock with him. Um, we know that this is who will have him, right? But on the flip side, same thing, right? If this guy, comes out and up or whatever, corner knows that he can release this outside guy who is likely going to, run a crossing route or something, or run hit the safety, right? So we're both getting the same information from this guy. The only part where it could get weird is, like, say this guy runs like a deep out, and then this guy takes like an outside release and runs deep. Who has who? So if you said the corner takes this guy, and then the safety takes the out, that'd be correct. That's the way we'd want to run that because from our perspective, this guy is running deep, so the corner knows that he has to lock, and it's the same thing would apply on both sides. So kind of the one area that this is weak, or like plays that I would run to like beat this coverage. This is helpful for us because this is what the dynasty actually runs. Is a cover is like basically where you want to split um, all of the deep guys out, right? Because so then it just leaves this guy, and then if this guy just kind of runs like a drag and clears the space and ends up way over here, we know that this corner is going to cover this guy, and then this safety would end up covering the center. Um, and then this corner, what's happening over here? I mean, corner cannot cover this guy, right? Even though his guy's going deep, but the safety should know to cover him. So it just creates a mismatch. So the only other guy to pick him up really would be this guy, but if he's blitzing, we're just kind of screwed there. So that's just a weakness with the coverage. Lastly, I mean, it's basically the same idea here, right? This guy could take an outside release. Let's say this guy runs a post. This guy goes deep, and then if the center clears out like that, this is also very difficult for us, right? Because in this case, we're getting a read from number two that he's clearing our zone, so the safety should kind of pick up this guy. The corner should probably also be right there, and then obviously this corner would take this guy, and this safety would take the post. So we don't really have anyone if this guy's blitzing, right? So that's just where it gets a little bit tough. But the idea here is we either get to the quarterback, or maybe this guy would have the wherewithal to blitz. So we could come up with some adjustments there, but that would be the general idea of cover two.